She has been recognized by CNN as the face of African cosmetics industry. Susie WOKABI, the founder of Susie Beauty brand, has received numerous international recognitions and endorsements for being the founder of Kenya's first ever makeup fashion brand. Prior to establishing the Susie Beauty brand in Kenya, she spent close to 10 years in corporate America as a professional makeup consultant. From California to New York, Susie WOKABI built a strong portfolio in makeup artistry. In 2007, Susie WOKABI made the big decision to come back home and set up the first ever Kenyan beauty brand. Soon, the brand gained global popularity, especially when film icon Lupita Nyong'o announced that she was wearing a Susie Beauty brand lipstick during the filming of Queen Latifah. Some of Susie WOKABI's major clients have been the Mnet, top TV shows like Idols, The Patricia Show, Face of Africa, as well as Coke Studio. With such great success in business leadership, what does the years ahead have in store for her? Well, I sat down with Susie WOKABI in Nairobi to discuss her life, successes, and the future. Susie WOKABI talks to Socrates. Susie WOKABI, thank you so much for making time for us here at the CEO Today Show.
Thank you.
And congratulations for this wonderful initiative that you are doing with Susie Beauty. Now, you've come a long way, and you've really shaken the cosmetics industry. But today we want to take 3 steps into your journey, where your story starts from your childhood. How was it growing up as a last born?
Thank you so much for having me. You've done your homework, obviously.
Yeah,
so yes, I am very much a last born. I say I had 5 parents because there's my parents and then my 3 siblings above me, and they all were very protective. And that is how I grew up. And it's a bit. I'm a very independent spirit,
Right.
So it was a bit of a push and pull. But I do appreciate. I mean, I needed them for everything that they did.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was fun. I am still my mother's last born. She treats me as such, and I take it, and I live with it very happily.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Schooling. Let's see. Where did you have your primary as well as your secondary schooling? Yeah.
So I went to Consolata Primary School,
All right.
and I went to Kianda High School.
All right.
Yeah.
Now we want to look at the pioneering stages of your career, where you studied at USI.
I did.
Okay, what did you take at the university?
I graduated with a degree in international relations with a minor in sociology.
All right.
So not so much what I do today, but I think it's all connected. It's all connected.
Yeah, because international relations, beautypreneurship.
There's a difference.
Unpack that for those who are watching us today.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. So, I mean, I didn't really know what I was getting into going to study international relations.
Right.
At the time, USIU had very few majors available, and I just went ticking boxes or crossing boxes and ended up there. Did not love international relations. Loved my college experience and appreciate my college experience for what it was. And when I graduated, I knew very quickly that I would not be pursuing that. Where I was going with that in the first place, I have a flair for languages, and I studied a few languages. So I thought, maybe being in international relations, maybe I'll work at the UN. In the translation bit of it, I couldn't figure that out. It never worked out anyway. But I was in the US. I graduated out of the San Diego campus.
Right. Yeah.
Then.
Yeah.
And thereafter went into corporate America.
Yeah.
Just trying to figure it out because I had no idea what I was going to do with my life.
Okay.
Months into it, my sister and brother lived in New York.
All right.
I lived in California, so opposite ends of the coast. My sister Lisa was a huge fashion person. She had amazing fashion jobs, and I used to watch her life and be like, I really like that. I like some stuff about that. Maybe I try. And she encouraged me. She's like, come over, come to the East and see, come to New York and come and play. So the fashion industry is many things. I'm not a big fashionista for clothing, but I did dabble in that. Fashion is also accessories, it's also eyewear, it's also cosmetics. And I actually worked in each part of each field just to see what I loved. And that's where I really fell in love with beauty. I was always that person that loved beauty.
Okay.
I was wearing makeup early and I would do my girlfriend's eyebrows when we were going out. I was that person.
Okay.
But I didn't know it could be a career. This showed me that it could. I worked for some big brands, Clinique and MAC. They trained me from scratch. My dad also sent me to media makeup school in LA during the years there. So I was just honing my skills in makeup artistry and in cosmetics, learning product. And that's what I did a lot for the years I was there. But I also had, like, in the cutthroat makeup business in New York was just too rough to get into. Like, you're lining up after 50, 60 people to get a free job. A free job like at Fashion Week or something that's worth it. And so I'm like, oh, I can't live with it like this. Like, I don't know how they're hustling like this.
Clearly, it's not the land of opportunity.
That hustle was too much. I always had a full-time, like, corporate job.
Okay. Oh, wow.
That was my bread and butter. Right. Still in fashion. I worked in designer eyewear, doing product development.
Nice.
So it was, just having that and still being in fashion. It's still fun. And then on the side, every evening and weekend, I'm working on my makeup and my beauty story. Okay. So yeah, that's where that went.
Let's unpack corporate America in the sense that for 7 good years you were in professional makeup industry. One thing I learned from your experience with corporate America is that you had a bias to media. You did a lot of media engagements in the sense of that particular profession, beautypreneurship. Unpack that for us a little bit.
So makeup in itself there's very many different specialties that you can go into. So I knew very quickly that I love just like clean beauty makeup. And media appreciates that. I don't like, avant-garde or like even bridal or like I did some runway shows and that's a bit more glamorous and out there. But that's as far as I go. You'll see like all my work through the years that I was doing makeup, it was just like very neat and clean and fresh looking beauty. So that's why when I moved, or are we going to where I moved back home? Because we can transition into that. Because when I moved back home is where I really got into media makeup, and I was only working in media makeup with all the TV stations and the newspapers and the magazines, and so that's where I was really thriving.
For the longest time, people have deemed America as a place where full of opportunities. Anyone who goes there and thrives as you did finds difficulties in coming back home, but you made that huge decision to come back and establish your brand. But we'll delve into that in a minute. I want to talk about Suzie the person as opposed to the brand. You've described your 2 boys as, and I quote, crazy. Most of you are, but they give you life.
Absolutely.
How has it been balancing family and growing these global brand?
Yeah.
How has it been?
Interesting and fun, and you make the best of it. And it's all about prioritizing. So they 1,000,000% come first with all their craziness. No, their craziness is extremely sweet and amazing. I couldn't be without them. Yeah. So when I did move back home and working and went into entrepreneurship, we did it very crazily. My husband and I moved back home, we got married, we started Susie Beauty, I had babies, like we all did it all inside of like 4 years. So it was a wild time. I just so I mean, it can't get any more than that, and any crazier than that.
Sure.
So, but yes, no, about balancing and about managing work and family. It's about prioritizing. Like I will walk out of a board meeting if a child calls me.
Right.
The end.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Wow. Now, leading such a brand to the heights that it's achieved today, it is quite, I would presume, tiresome. There's a lot to be done, really, in the leadership aspect of it.
Paint a picture to me how your typical day looks like from sunrise to up to the time you know going back home. Your typical day as a business leader.
There's nothing like a typical day. Apart from, actually, the only typicalness is home, which is I wake up in the morning, get the kids up, get them ready for school, get them to school. Then the real life starts. So that is constant, at least. There's one constant. And then it's, right now, just because of the place in life that I'm in the middle of creating a new brand. Or launching a new brand. So that's what I spend my entire day doing, whether it is building out the office, whether it is doing more product development, whether it is talking to investors, whether it is developing the marketing strategy. So I just spend a lot. That's what my days. If it's out of the house or inside the house, it's just very flexible, and it's completely goes all over the new brand. Yeah.
Wow.
And then back home, I barely do any professional or work-related stuff after 5 p.m. Because it's home time and family time.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Now you went to the US. You made your way up in that particular space, and you felt that it's time to go back to where the heart belongs, and that is home. That was in 2008, if I'm not wrong.
End of 2007.
End of 2007. A period that was very difficult for our country.
Yep.
Susie, what magic did you use to come back to a very volatile country and still, gain momentum?
Yeah,
build the brand?
That is such a great question.
Yeah.
That was such a wild time. I'll tell you what. I moved back home at sort of October 2007 and hit the ground running, because beforehand I came home a few months before, met all the relevant people in the industry who I'd come and get my gigs from, like the magazines. Connie Which was very instrumental, David Beatty, the True Love magazine. So I was like, here's my portfolio, here's who I am, I'm coming back home in 3 months or so. They're hit us up when you get home. Perfect. Hit the ground running, got very many jobs very quickly. Mnet was one of my biggest clients, actually.
Wow.
So and then December happened. December 2007, post-election. Everything went dead for 3 months thereafter. I thought I'd never work again in my life. And for sure, if I wasn't engaged to be married and we hadn't moved back home, I was buying a one-way ticket back. But stuck through it. By about February, March, things started picking up again. And then it was uphill all the way. That was the greatest year that I remember in my makeup artistry career. 2008. I got the best gigs. Mnet had a lot of stuff going on. If you remember Idols,
Idols,
when they came here, I was a key makeup artist. That's possibly the best makeup job I've ever had. It was a long time project for 3-4 months. So that was really, really good, and that builds up the momentum. That gives you more contacts. That gives you more context. Your name being seen on the credits of all these things. I really managed to build a name for myself. After, so it's about not giving up. I didn't give up and go back.
Now, a critical factor in a business, starting a business, especially of this kind, that has been difficult for most people, is the financing bit of it. And somebody who's watching today is wondering, where on planet Earth did she get this top dollar money to establish these? Because these things need financing. So how did you go around the bit where you inject money?
It was very difficult, and it is still very difficult, because I'm in the same position right now with my startup brand. So I thought 13 years later it would be that much easier, but it's really not. That's the roughest part of that was the hardest part for me for even Susie Beauty, because it was 3 years in the making. The first year I spent creating the brand and the product. The second year I spent testing it, and the third year I spent fundraising. And then so all those, the first, I mean, your bootstrap, it's called bootstrapping, like you're just using your own resources as much as possible. My husband was working at the time, we could do that, and build what we could with what we had. Then when we knew there's a time that would come when we need the bigger money to even mass produce product. So at the time, okay, of course, like no formal like organizations look at startups. Let's not even pretend. They keep pretending. There's a startup funds, and there's women funds and youth funds.
A lot of literature.
A lot of blah blah. So no, just reject after reject after reject, and just keep going. And so at the time, there were these chamas were like formalizing themselves and becoming like actual companies and investment groups. So we pitched to a whole bunch of those, and that's who bit, and they just, and it's really tough being a pre-revenue a brand or company, because everyone wants traction, everyone wants to see what you've sold so far, so that they can now know. But we're working on projections. We're like, this is what for sure we think we're going to sell. And so it's about somebody really just believing in you and your story and hoping
flying with your idea.
Exactly.
As it is, you've been. I read somewhere that one of your clients is actually the iconic film person by the name Lupita. She used one of your lipsticks to premiere one of our films. This really boosted the brand in the sense of brand visibility globally. You've also had quite a media presence over the last decade. Beneath these particular appearance that you have on the media space, I know there are challenges that you've gone through building the brand. Apart from financing bit, what are other challenges that you'd want to let us in today?
For me, I'm a creative. So, handling the entire business in your hands as a creative is rough. Like, I mean, I have to deal with finance and lawyers and investors and all these things that are so uncomfortable and unfamiliar. And I know that I'll never ever really fully understand. There's someone who does these things much better than me. So yes, just running the business as a creative has always been a challenge. But then what I did with Susie Beauty in the beginning, I tried to do everything in the beginning. Like I had my fingers in all areas, as I tried to also, I think, figure out through the years what I'm really good at and what I really know well. And so, all this time later, I just know invest in where your strengths are not. And invest in your strengths where they are, and that's what's going to catapult any business, right? Nobody can be good at everything. So, and just that acceptance and realization, and I'm not alone in that, was very helpful.
Awesome. Let's talk about the acquisition bit. At some point, Susie Beauty was actually acquired by another company, and then you had to, transition and play an oversight role as opposed to, active management. Before we discuss a little bit of that, you've also mentioned that, you're transitioning into another product, another brand that you're building. Talk to us about this particular shift, the acquisition into now this new baby that you have.
Awesome. So, in 2015, we were looking for a really strong strategic partner who would help us get Susie Beauty to the next level. We were running out of abilities and resources on our own. It was growing bigger than us. So who's this partner that's going to come along? We talked to a bunch of people, and who ended up making most sense for the brand was the Flame Tree Group. We had met Harold, and we had talks for long. He was willing to take on the brand, but we wanted an acquisition. We were just looking for a partner and maybe an equity partner to join the brand. So it was a long discussion on both ends, because they're also getting something brand new. We're going to do something completely different and unexpected. And at the end, after a lot of talking and thinking and talking and thinking, it was the right decision. So they acquired the brand. I went along with the brand, and then so ran the brand under them, which was, I'm gonna say, like, as an entrepreneur, any entrepreneur is like, how did you get that done? And I don't really have an answer because I wasn't trying to get that done, but like, you know, that's a lot of people start businesses in order to sell.
Yeah, true.
So it's a feat for sure. To even be attractive enough for somebody to want to acquire the brand is a notch on our belt. Got to run the brand for the first time with me doing what I know how to do best, which is just the creative.
The creative bit,
so you know, because now this bigger group is taking care of all the hard stuff that I find hard. You know, the business end of things and the operations and the logistics and all that stuff that I don't really want to ever deal with. Like, you know, that's what I invest in now. I'm investing in immediately. I'm like, who's doing that? Who's doing that? I'll do what I know how to do.
The best, yeah.
So that made my life a lot easier. Like, the end of the month was not a heart attack anymore.
Yeah, gloomy faces.
Exactly. I'm like,
like
okay,
tomorrow,
it's the 31st.
Yeah.
So very different and a lot better for me, even me as a human being, for my mental and my physical, and like, and being able to create with clarity. It was a very refreshing. So then I had a 5-year sign-on, which was coming to lapse during COVID, and so it was a situation where we were both like I didn't want to have a non-compete anymore, because it was a non-compete also. I couldn't do anything else in the beauty industry, and I'm watching it just grow and flourish, and I'm like, there's so much to do, I want my hands in more. So it was a very happy, hey, can I just go do more? And they're like, okay, go, spread wings. And so I mean, I still oversee from afar, and then I get to do more.
Right.
So, which is it's a new space that is very exciting and different, and a reinvention almost. Yeah.
Wow. Now we SB Dada.
Yes.
Briefly.
Yeah.
What about SB Dada?
SB Dada. This is the first time I've said that on camera. Yeah, this is a lot of first. This is our home that we're in. This is definitely our first. So welcome.
Thank you so much.
And thank you for breaking the. So yeah, it's there came a stage where I actually, like, you know, after I did not renew the non-compete, and I'm like, what am I doing? What am I going to do? And a lot of people are like, do something new, do something new. I'm like, yeah, that's easy. Should I? Yeah, I could. And so I had to see what this new thing is. I had to go studying the industry all over again. 13 years later, of course, there's a whole new playing field. All different players, all different, a whole different audience that I would be looking to. While Susie Beauty was Kenya's first local brand, there's a local brands that have propped up, which I take as another notch on my belt, because I inspired people to see that you can do this here. And let's keep growing this industry together, you know? So I had to just go study what's going on, who are the new people, what spaces are missing, what gaps can I fill. And my son, who was 1 when I launched Susie Beauty, is now 13. So I go, I pick him up from high school, I'm watching these girls walk out of class, they're like, in year 10, 11, I'm like, you have 7 things on your face. Yeah, I see foundation, I see blush, I see mascara, I see your face. Like, yeah, we're allowed to wear makeup from year 9. And I'm like, this is who to talk to. And also, they're so fun to me. Like, Gen Zs and millennials are so interesting. I'm not them.
It's a whole cup of
cup of tea. A whole new cup of tea. So I'm like, let me create something for them. So SB Dada is based around this target audience, which is the youth. I also wear my mentorship hat quite seriously. So me catering to them and creating product for them is it's good. Like, they'll use good product, they'll know how to do it well. I'll teach where I can. I do plan to teach, so they're my juniors that I want to uplift with makeup.
Wow.
And then it's what do they love? They love trend. They love fun stuff. So it's bright and fun and interesting and funky.
Mm.
I'm excited. I'm excited every time I see the product I've created for them. I'm like, this is so fun.
Yeah.
And then where does everyone live? On your devices.
Yeah.
So we're gonna make shopping online for the product as easy as possible with tech.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's gonna be really
innovation
exciting.
bit is
a whole lot of innovation.
Wow.
Sustainability is a huge thing.
Yeah.
So introducing sustainability in the beauty industry here, it doesn't really exist. Nobody really cares about that.
Yeah.
So us making them understand, no, let's have less wastage in the beauty industry. Everyone in fashion is talking that. Beauty around the world is talking that. We're not really doing that in Africa. So introducing that is going to be really important.
Wow.
So that's a few pillars the brand is based around.
And we are convinced, we know that in no time it will be somewhere up there.
Amen. Yeah. I received that.
Wow. Before we talk about your future, let's look at your CSR portfolio, because then, as much as every business is meant to bring money, we are in this show, we're big on profits with purpose. What are you doing to give back to a society that clearly has been good to you?
Yeah, no, I mean it's super important. And now for me, in terms of, I talked about my mentorship hat.
Yeah.
I do wear it very seriously. I mentor. I've trained a lot of makeup artists who are in the industry. I do a lot of mentorship programs. I speak a lot.
Nice.
I mean, it could be from Kibera to Kempinski. Like, I'm talking to people that's going to impact and inspire. That's huge for me.
Yeah.
And so I have a lot of mentees.
Okay.
And I have a lot of people that look to me, and I hold hands. And with Susie Beauty, I know I paved the way. And I went into the forest by myself with the axe and pangas and doing that so that they could walk easier behind me. So in terms of that, definitely. And then uplifting young girls, young ladies, as much as I possibly can. And also women in business. We all support each other as much as possible.
Yeah.
I do a lot of stuff that I should be paid for that I just don't.
But again,
it's for a reason, and it's for the greater good, and I can't
lose your light when you light those.
No, I can't.
It's impressive. Now that you've talked about the speaking engagement, I would wish to formally invite you as a guest, one of our guest speakers during the CEOs and Founders India dinner.
Awesome. Thank you for the invitation.
And we'll really be excited to have you share this experience to even the larger CEOs Guild.
Sure. Thank you.
Yeah. Suzie, your story shows what is possible for an African woman in business leadership. Today I want you to talk to that African woman, that Kenyan lady who is only starting in business in whatever space. Things are tough. The business environment in this part of the world is getting crazier by the day. Mm-hmm. There's no money to start businesses. It's tough.
Yes.
But I feel in my heart you have a word for that woman somewhere.
Yes.
Kindly.
I do. Yeah. I'm in it with you. First of all, we're in it together. Where we live, this continent of ours is the richest continent in the world. It is not the next frontier, it is the frontier. You can see it globally. Everyone's looking to Africa. Mm-hmm. We need to embrace that so deeply and so hard, and not get discouraged. Because right now, yes, it's a bit tough. But it's like, I'm for sure, the floodgates are going to open and the rivers will flow. So let's all just hang in there. Start what you're starting. Start. Just start. You don't sit there wallowing and thinking, it's too hard, it's too bad. No, start somewhere. And build slowly if you need to. Like, do what you can, because bright, amazing times are coming.
Wow.
For us.
Wow.
Yeah.
Powerful.
Yeah.
Very powerful. Suzie, 10, 20 years from today, in the fullness of time and the grand scheme of things, what do you envision for the brand? What do you wish the industry achieves? The cosmetics market achieves?
That one, I will continue fulfilling my purpose. I'll tell you, I defined my purpose in 2019, which is to be an instrumental contributor to the growth of the African beauty industry.
Wow.
And in whatever that means. That means I'm supporting the people who are in my industry, who are my competition, and I do this really seriously because we're not competing. We're building the industry together. You have a brand that I don't have. You have products that I don't have. Let's uplift each other. So what I foresee, this new baby of mine to definitely be a global player. We are playing in the tech space, which is only growing exponentially. So the places that it can go, it's just endless. So yeah, definitely, this is a global story.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That's massive.
Yeah.
Wow. Susie, thank you so much.
And I haven't even launched.
Yeah.
So, but I'm still talking like that.
Yeah. we know, like I've told you, we know that not so far from today, the brand will be, shaking and moving the industry. And, we are very grateful.
Thank you
for the time that you've accorded us. And from the CEO today, we wish you nothing but the best.
Thank you so much.
In everything that you touch, may it bloom.
Thank you, and I wish you the same.
Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, that has been Susie WOKABI, the founder of Susie Beauty, a global brand in the cosmetic market. She's unpacked to us a very interesting journey where she's come from and definitely where she hopes to go. And definitely for her, getting to the top is just the beginning. Thank you so much for joining us in this particular episode of the CEO today. My name is Socrates and I hope to see you soon. Hit that subscribe button and be kind to one another. Goodbye.